is the federal program's February office hours, and we debated if we were gonna reschedule, and we thought, oh, we know that some of you are sitting in your buildings, so we decided to go ahead and go with it. We will be recording this once we get rolling, and then we'll have it for those of your colleagues that maybe are not in school today and maybe didn't make it to their building because they're snowed in. So I'm Dottie Hoisman, and I am the Assistant Administrator for Federal Programs and the Title I Director. And I used to be the REAP and RLIS coordinator for the state of Nebraska when I first started. So I did that about 3 years ago. I did it for a couple years. And Ann Carmody is actually the person who is in charge of the program right now, and it's eventually going to be moved to Michelle Rezick, who's also on our team. But Ann is unavailable today. She's actually on vacation in a lot warmer place than we are. So she is not here today, but you'll see her name mentioned throughout the slides, and we can answer a lot of your questions today regarding that. But if there's something we can't answer, we'll make sure that Ann gets back to you. So this presentation will be posted on the website, all the resources that go with it, because we have some things too. They'll eventually be put in the chat, and then they'll be posted on the website. And it just helps us just so we can say, hey, we did a office hours and we had 15 superintendents join, or 20 people from districts, whatever. If you would just put your name and district in the chat, that would be great. We're going to go ahead. I will let you know that throughout the course of this session, if you have any questions, feel free. You can either raise your hand, you just can come off mute, and we'd be happy to answer any questions as we roll through this. I will share with you that this is going to be about REAP RLIS. So if you are a district that has over 600 kids, it probably won't do any good for you to be on this call because this grant will not pertain to you. However, I know some of you like to get us to go into a breakout room to talk about something else. So if you want to hang with us and go into a breakout room later, we're also happy to do that as well. So we're going to start with introductions this morning. Let me get on the right slide here. So I'm going to just ask my colleagues in that order to come off mute and just say a little bit about yourself.
All right, I'm Beth Wooster. I am the ESEA Federal Programs Administrator and the final reviewer on all the grants for our team. So you probably see my name as I'm the one that sends out a lot of the emails, and I just appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Awesome. Thank you, Beth. And then Ann, you'll see, is the REAP and RLIS state coordinator. She also does ESU 16 and 10, so she works with those ESUs as well. Ann Hubble, I think you're on today.
Yep, I'm Ann Hubble, and I support Title III and then ESU 4, 6, and 17.
Awesome. And Janice?
Janice Paling. I am a program specialist.
Oh, you went mute, Janice. You hit the mute button.
There,
try again.
It said that the host muted me, but anyway. Okay, Janice Paling. I'm a program specialist, and my background is working with reimbursement requests on the grants management team.
Perfect. Thank you. Julie.
Hi, I'm Julie Otero, and I'm work with the federal programs team and do Title III and support ESU 7 and ESU 13. And I was in 2 districts where we had REAP grants. So I've been on the system and I've claimed the money, but I'm no expert.
I don't think anybody's an expert on REAP RLIS, and that's because you only do it one time a year typically. So it's one of those things that you forget about. Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Rezick. I am also clearly with federal programs. School improvement is I guess, my jam. I do ESU 1, 5, and 8. So I see some of my people on here. Hello, everyone. And super excited to be here today.
Thanks, Ann. Or thanks, Michelle. Wrong name. Tate.
Thank you, Dottie. I am Tate Tateman. I work with Titles 2 and 4. I'm also the non-public school ombudsman, and I work with ESUs 2, 9, 11, and 15.
Fantastic. Rhonda.
Good morning, all. I'm Rhonda Reet, Federal Programs Associate, and I support the whole team.
And she does it quite well. If you haven't worked with
Thank you,
Rhonda,
Steph.
she's fantastic. And then Benjamin isn't on, but Benjamin is also on our team and he's in charge of the migrant program. Okay, so we are going to dig right in today. We're going to go over REAP terms and timelines. We're hopefully going to understand the difference between REAP and RLIS when we're done. We're going to talk about accessing the REAP grant and allowable uses and accessing the REAP website and resources. So just some acronyms, and I'm going to let you take a minute to just look at those. And then we'll talk about just a couple of highlights in a second. You will note that the UEI is kind of important for the REAP grant. That's important to have a UEI. Also, we often refer to the LEA. So that's you guys, that's your local education agency. That sometimes confuses people. It's like, is that us? Yeah, that's you. So we'll talk a little bit about LEAs and your responsibility today. Okay, so what's REAP? Okay, so the whole purpose of REAP is this. It's just bottom line, and there's a lot on here. I'm just going to say it like it is. If you are a district of less than 600 kids, they, meaning the federal government, believes that it's very difficult for you to apply. You don't have the staff, maybe don't have the resources to apply for additional grants. So they started the REAP program to help support those districts to just pretty much say, here's some money based on the number of kids you get. Here's money we're going to give you that you can use for various purposes within your district. That's truly the purpose of REAP. I don't want to say it's free money, but in essence, it is free money. It's some of the easiest grant money you will have, and it does not have a huge number of parameters around it. So it really has a lot of uses you can use for that. And so you'll see at the bottom the SRSA, which is the REAP grant, but it's called SRSA. They make the grants directly to the LEAs. So we are kind of the middleman, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. And then there's also an RLIS, which is the Rural and Low Income School grant. And that again is made to the states, and then we administer that grant. We at the state do not administer the REAP grant, but we do administer the RLIS grant. And I'm going to apologize right now because it's very snowy where I'm living, and I chose not to go into the office today, and I have a sleeping bulldog under my desk. So if you hear snoring, once again, it's not me, it's Lucy. So I apologize for that, and thank you for your patience with me. Okay, so here's the timeline. This is really critical for you to understand. So what has been happening at the SEA level is very different than what's happening at the LEA level across these months. So what we do is the government sends us information and says, hey, you need to send your data to us about your school districts. And so we have to make sure we send contact information. So that's why the UGP is so important to stay up to date. We send a head contact, which is always the superintendent, and then we pull another contact. So there's two contacts that we send to the government. And then we make sure that if something comes back, like it says, oh, this district, it didn't go to anybody, we then check on that. So we might have to contact you. This is right now, we're not really doing anything other than reminding you the application is coming. So this part right here is us prepping you for what's going to happen in March through May. And then we're just going to continue to review this. And then we're going to continue to make sure that, hey, did you submit this application? So our job is really to say to you, are you doing what you need to with the government? That's our job. And then, of course, to provide the list to start with. And LEA has several things that it does. So you have to confirm your UEI, and that's active in SAM.gov. Let me share with you that as a former superintendent, don't let your SAM.gov go out of compliance. So in other words, if they tell you your SAM.gov password is changing and you need to change it in 10 days and 9 days and 8 days, don't let that slip away because it's like an act of Congress to get it reinstated. So make sure that you work hard to get it done. You can look at the REAP website during this time, verify your eligibility. You can update your primary and secondary contact information. So if we have the wrong email in there, if we had a typo in your email or something like that. And then during this, here's your month of application, right? So March to May is your application. And you're going to get a link, and we'll talk about it in just a little bit. And then this is your final cohort. So you're going to confirm you're listed correctly. You're going to make sure all of this is done. So again, you're continuing. And then this is your award allocation period. Okay. So this is when you're going to make sure that you understand that, yep, we've got our money. We've done everything we need to. Okay. So REAP timeline. REAP application opens. Invitation will be sent to the primary contact of each eligible district. I'll talk about that more in just a minute as to who that comes from. This is when the REAP application closes. I'll talk about the REAP application in a minute too, because it's not a very long process at all. Your REAP grant is awarded in July of 2025, and your performance period start date. Okay, and we'll talk about the performance the entire period again coming up. Okay, so here's kind of some past year timelines. Orange box represent what happened in 2023, and you can see in 27. The most important thing for you to know on this slide is it's a 27-month REAP grant. 27 months. However, I would encourage you, in case, number one, you forget about it. Number two, you move to a new district. If you submit for a grant and you know what you're going to buy and you're ordering it, let's say, because it's awarded to you July 1 and you know what you're going to order, you order it, it's in September, apply for it. You don't need to wait, apply for your reimbursement. You don't need to wait. So as soon as you purchase whatever it is you say you're going to purchase, ask for the reimbursement. Very simple process on that end too. Now, once again, that doesn't go through us, that goes through the SAM.gov. So it's important for you to understand that. You can call us if you get stuck because we have some good resources to send to you, or we can give you a contact, but the reimbursement does not come from the state of Nebraska. Okay, so SRS, yes.
Dottie, I was also going to say, I would not wait till January 30th to submit reimbursements.
Right,
So.
do it right away. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, SRSA eligibility. So here's how you become SRSA eligible. You have to be small and rural. So average daily attendance is fewer than 600 students. And we give that number to the feds based on what's in our system. So what your average daily attendance was, we pull that. And the here's your the LEA is located in a county with a population density of less than 10 persons per square mile. So those very dense counties in the state of Nebraska. And an LEA is considered rural for if schools within the LEA have an NCES locale code of 41, 42, or 43, and you all have that number, or the LEA is designated as rural by a governmental agency of the state. Okay. RLIS eligibility. Okay, that's a little bit different. And when I looked at this, because I kind of forgot the qualifications for this until I started looking at this grant. 20% or more of the children age 5 to 17 in the LEA are low income. You guys, that's the majority of our schools across the state of Nebraska right now. You guys know that. There's a lot of people that are 20, or a lot of kids that are 20, or a lot of percentage that's higher than that. And then again, this would be the code for rural. It would be one of these codes, or rural as per the state. Okay, so how are REAP funds distributed? Okay, so here's the pot of money. It comes down the LEA eligibility determination. That's what we send to the federal government. And then it's determined as to which piece you go into. Okay, and we're going to talk more about this in just a minute. The one thing to remember is this piece right here that says dual eligible LEAs must select which grant program they wish to participate in. And we'll talk more in a second on that as well. Okay, many districts qualify for RLIS. So that's a rural low income, right? But they also qualify for REAP. So they're both. And so what happens is We look at that list and we say, which one's more money? Is the REAP pot more or is the RLIS pot more? And then we say to a district, you need to take the RLIS money if that pot is more. We in the past have only had 3 districts since I started at the department almost 5 years ago. We've only had 3 districts each year that have an RLIS grant, but for whatever reason this year we have 6. So we have 6 that their pot of money is bigger. Their RLIS pot is bigger than their REAP pot. So they actually have done a grant, and we went ahead and that goes through the GMS system. So those 6 schools know if they're RLIS. So if you're not RLIS and you're under 6 or you are under 600, you're most likely getting a REAP allocation. Okay, this is probably the most important slide too that you'll want to know. So how do you spend your money? It is so open. It's so wide open. I don't know how else to say that. It's the same thing for REAP, SRSA, or RLIS until you get to the very bottom one. REAP can use 21st Century Community Learning Center activities. RLIS can do parent involvement activities. Here's the however. Think about it. Title I activities also involve parental activities. So you really could do that as well. So think about anything that qualifies under these allowable programs, title programs, is how you could use your money. And when I say anything, guys, I mean anything, right? So it could be, we want to send teachers to a conference. That's PD, right? That's Title II. Title I, we want to hire another additional half-time teacher to help support our students that are low. That's Title I. Title III, anything to do with EL or IE and the services that are provided for students. Title IV, anything in those 3 buckets that you can use, right? So any of those are allowable uses. In my years working with REAP, previous to being at the department and at the department, I don't think I've ever said to a superintendent, nope, can't use it for that. I mean, it's really pretty wide open. Okay, this slide always just makes me smile because this one talks a little bit about the difference between RLIS and SRSA. And then understanding AFUA. Guys, I don't even understand AFUA, so don't worry about this slide at all. In essence, what it's saying is you can use these in conjunction with your other funds as you're working through. Okay, so application overview. Okay, in April, should come to you in April. It will come from this email address. So I'm telling you, don't let it go to your junk. We have a lot of superintendents who will say, I never received anything. And we'll say, look in your junk file. So if there's some way for you to go to your tech person and say, I need to make sure that anything that comes from this address gets through our filter and comes to me. Whoop. Hold on a sec. Make sure you do that. You complete the application. Look at the time frame. If you're spending more than 30 minutes on this application, you're probably writing too much. You're probably trying to do a dissertation, and I can tell you the federal government wants something very short and sweet. We're going to use our money to send our teachers to a professional learning academy at We will pay for the cost of subs and the cost of the travel for them to get there. It supports our goal of reading comprehension, whatever the case may be. That's what they're looking for. They want LEA information confirmation. You have to do a GEPA statement. You guys are all great at GEPA statements. You do it for every grant you do. You have to say what your intended use of funds are. So exactly what I just said, if I was using my example. You have to read the assurances and sign it, and you submit it. The post-award, you're going to receive a confirmation email with a post-award information document, and then it'll tell you about preparing for receiving your funds by ensuring your UEI and G6 accounts are up to date. Okay. If you're new this year to your district and you are not 100% sure if you are listed as the main point of contact, you can contact Ann Carmody and ask her. Or you can send an email to even Rhonda or myself because we both have the list and who the contacts are. So feel free to send it to Rhonda or myself or Ann. and see, just make sure that you're listed. If you're not new, don't worry about it, because if you've got these in the past, I'm sure you're getting them now. Or you can stay on after the meeting and we'll look it up for you and make sure that you're correct on the list. Here's a quick links document that Rhonda's going to drop into the chat right now. And this is just a very nice step-by-step. Okay, so general REAP, what is REAP? What's the allocation? How do they determine eligibility? What do I do? How does that work? All the way down to managing your funds, and then some resources that you can possibly use. Great tool for you to use. So if you want to download that and save it, print a copy so you have it, that might be helpful for your REAP file. Okay, this is actually, I believe, the G6 site. Or I'm sorry, this is probably this is the government site, and you'll see that this is how you go in. So this is accessing funds. Here's the REAP program. It'll tell you what office it's coming out of. It'll tell you how the contact is. I will share with you that if you ever need to call them, I've emailed them before, but honestly, I've found a call is a lot quicker. They are very good about helping answer your questions. So it's like, geez, I can't figure out on this website, where do I go? I don't think I've received the email. What do I do? They will talk you through. They will actually look up all of your information and go, oh, we have this person listed as the contact, not you. Let's update that now. So it's just a very nice way of doing this. I would also share, Beth sent out an email 2 days ago to everybody about this session. And when she sent out that email, she took the list right from the REAP eligible list. So if you got the email to attend this session on Monday, you are listed in the REAP system as the contact. So
Nope.
you should be, you
Nope.
didn't?
There were 7 that I had to
Oh,
fix.
There were
So
7. So, well, I'm saying though, if you didn't receive it, you're not the you're not the contact. If you
But
did receive it, you're good.
No, I sent it to those 7. So
Oh, you
there are
did?
7. Yeah. So everyone should have it, but there were 7 that were not correct.
Okay, so you might want to just reach out to them, let them know, and then we'll get
Okay.
it figured out. Okay.
Okay.
And then this is REAP resources. So this is where you can go to get additional information about REAP. And then you can look all the way through any of this and determine what's going on with your application. So great screenshot of what the site looks like. And then these are also great links that can help you to answer any questions you might have about REAP. I can also share with you guys, don't make REAP bigger than it is. So if you're really stuck on something, don't spend hours on the website trying to find it. Shoot us an email and we'll help you figure out the answer. And if we don't know the answer, we'll send you to the federal government so they can answer the question for you. We want to make REAP painless for people. We really try hard to make it painless. Okay, I know that's a lot, but I consider REAP not a big process, but it's great money for districts to have. So are there any questions about anything you've tried to do with REAP or RLIS, or what are next steps? Anything in general that you'd want to ask?
There's a question in the chat. We
Okay.
always use our one-to-one. We always use ours for our one-to-one computer purchase. Is that still okay?
Absolutely. Yes, that is an appropriate use of funding. In fact, the majority of districts across the state of Nebraska use their money for technology purchases, because it's not a limit on a percentage. It's just, oh, I can buy 45 new computers or so many iPads, whatever the case may be. What we found is during the ESSER days, when there was ESSER money, districts didn't necessarily use it for computers because they used their ESSER money and they used it for other things. But now they're coming back because the ESSER money is gone. And now they're coming back and pulling it back into the technology. People have used it for projectors in schools, things like that would help support the learning of kids. Smart boards, lots of technology is usually used with REAP. And it's pretty clean cut too. Lease pay payment for one-to-one. I believe that is also allowable. I've never heard that that is not allowable, Jane. So I think that's an allowable piece. It'd be like purchasing a computer, only you're leasing the computer. I honestly, like I said earlier, I've never had to tell somebody I don't think it's allowable. And I've never heard of anybody's REAP application coming back saying what you asked to use was not appropriate. So Nebraska people must do it right. Julie, do you want to mention what you used your REAP money for? As a superintendent, we used ours for technology, but I'm wondering what Julie used it for.
That's what we used it for too. It was just pretty clear and you knew you were going to be buying something with technology. So that's exactly what we did.
Awesome. Any other examples of people that they're using their REAP money for something else? New math curriculum is allowable, or a plasma table in the shop. Yep. Math curriculum would be an allowable purchase. A plasma table in the shop matches Title IV for extra opportunities for kids in the well-rounded area. Yep. I've heard a lot of people of doing like, sometimes they'll just go to their science teacher or their ag teacher, or they'll rotate it, or their shop teacher, and they'll say, hey, if you had $15,000, what would you purchase? And then they let them use it this year so they can get more equipment in whatever area. Digital citizenship curriculum and training on this to stakeholders. Absolutely. Yes. Online subscriptions. Perfect. Yep. Love the ideas. And I hate to put anybody on the spot, but has anybody ever heard of someone's REAP grant being returned because of what they wanted to use their money on? No, I don't think it's happened.
I kind of think if you just think about some expenses you know are coming down the pike, that's a good way to think about it.
I think snacks for sleeping bulldogs, Dale, may be out of the question, or the Mohawk flooring that you were talking about earlier, Dale. We tend to tell people stay away from infrastructure. So I kind of tease about the flooring, but I'd stay away from any infrastructure changes.
There's going to be some really heavy one-to-one use on top of that flooring, though. I mean, but I get it. We'll stay away from that. So
you know what? I think I've heard before of people like wanting like in a kindergarten room or a preschool room, a rug that's like an ABC rug, and the activities you can do on that, and that would be allowable with REAP funding.
Sure.
So yeah, Dale, you made me smile when you were talking about flooring. I'm like, I don't miss those days. Anything else? Playground equipment. Yes, but no. Here's my thoughts on playground equipment. If you're putting in, and Tate and Julie, you might want to pipe in on this from your past lives. Playground equipment, that would be if you're putting up a structure, I would hesitate to do that. Because remember, if you're using federal dollars, the federal government would have an interest in that playground equipment. Now, if you're asking, can we buy games for kids when we're stuck inside and can't go outside on a nice snowy day in Nebraska? Allowable. Can we buy balls and jump ropes and equipment for kids to use? That would be allowable. Another, when I was talking about the shop teacher, you could go to the PE teacher maybe this year and say, hey, PE teacher, you have had a really small budget in the last 5 years. I want to give you $5,000, $10,000 to buy materials you need. What would you buy? So that would be my advice. I don't know, Julie or Tate, would you say anything different to that one?
No, I think that's really good advice.
Yeah, I agree. I just, always talk about, it's federal funds, so it's above and beyond. These are on top of what you'd have to do without them. And again, it's such an easy grant. So when we see that someone has not applied for that grant, so if the federal government notifies us and says districts A, Y, and Z didn't apply, we're going to contact you because it's just too easy of money to not take.
And if I remember right, you don't even have to send in your like your fund accounting report of what you bought. You just draw down the money.
Yeah. It's really easy to draw down the money, Julie. I was shocked. I remember thinking, this is all we have to do. And then they were really quick in getting the money to our account as well. It came, I want to say it came within a week. We have a question about one-to-one iPads and make payments over 3 years. Can we use 3 years of REAP funds? Yep, absolutely. That would be an allowable expense.
Will they approve 3 years though?
They will appear, you would say in the application that you're going to be asking for it over 3 years and you're asking for this much for this year. So they're only going to approve 1 year of it. And then next year you could say we're in year 2 of asking for this money.
And the only thing I also like to remind people on that is odds are you'll continue to get this, but there is that possibility that if things change with your rule code or your student population, you may not get the funds in the following year. So that'd be the one thing on that you'd have to look at.
I would say to you that if you're teetering on the 500, 550 to, 575 amount, I'd just be careful because you might go over. We did have over the last 5 years, we've had a couple of schools that have said, are you sure our membership is right? And we're like, yeah, unfortunately it is. You definitely went over. Jane, we don't have any examples of application wording. But if you're trying to get some wording examples and want to send us what you think you're going to want to submit, send it to us and we'll take a look at it. And what if? Okay, so Julie, I'm going to rely on you a little bit about this because we've never had the what if. So if we say in the application, we're going to do it for X, and then in a year we decide Z, do you have to go in and make an amendment, Julie? Do you remember that?
I never have. And like I said, they don't even ask for your accounting to show what you purchased.
Yep. Now I will share with you, there is a REAP accounting code that's in the coding from Bryce Wilson's office. So you'll definitely want to code it in your books to the REAP account code. I don't know that off the top of my head for incoming money and of course for your expenses. And that's going to be important for your auditor. Your auditor will want to see that you drew down REAP. And again, it's a 27-month period. But if you have the use for something right now, use it. Now, if you're one of those people that's like, well, we're a school of 350 kids and we're going to build up our money because next year we want to do this and this at the same time, that would be fine. But we just encourage you, as with all of our grants, when you spend the money, ask for reimbursement. Okay, anything else? Man, this is the best audience ever. They win the award. Thanks to all for contributing. Thanks for asking great questions. Feel free to stay on if you want to have any more specific information shared with you. And everyone stay safe and stay warm. I think it's pretty cold out there today too.
Thanks, Dottie.